Oh wow. Welcome, jerks. Oh man, I got a new microphone, so that's throwing me off a little bit, but I'm smiling today because it is my birthday show. And excuse me, I'm coughing. And excuse me, it's probably been my I don't know, I'm just feeling it. It feels like it's like my best birthday ever. So some and I gotta say, like there was one year I got arrested on my birthday for cannabis. That was a shitty birthday. This has been such a better birthday. I'm really enjoying it. So thank you everybody who's been reaching out. I can't get back to all of you. It's been just overwhelming. Thank you so much. I'm also excited about the show that we're doing tonight and the show we're doing tomorrow night and all the upcoming shows. Last night's show was like unannounced during the afternoon. We got over 60,000 views. It's like unbelievable. And it's about this story that just came out with Aidan Kearney, Turtle Boy, and how I believe it's impacting the Karen Reed defense as well. They're using this material. And I just came out today and I just told everybody that it started with me. Um, I'm going to say her name at this point because she's been outed and she's been outed a lot in the last 24 hours. To me, she's a hero. And I want to wish her well because I know she's always watching. She started on the show. She was always watching the show. She called into the show. A lot of people know her. Jean from Dorchester. She's the one who is the person that submitted the affidavit. And it started with her reaching out to me. And Aidan had nothing to do with it. And the reason I'm saying that today is I just want to poke one hole at what I believe are many misstatements coming from Kate Peter. She just posts whatever she wants, made up shit. Aidan had nothing to do with it. She contacted me. I even suggested Aidan at one point, but she was a little worried with her housing situation. So I then suggested contact Aidan Kearney's paralegal with Tim Bradle. And that's what she did. And that's the truth of it. And, I'd say hats off to Jean. She's very brave. People have seen what Kate Peter exposed her today and posted her information, threatened her, bullied her, just like she did to me, just like she did to Aidan, just like she's done to countless other people. It's mafia-like. She just posted, apparently, Aidan posted a picture of Jean's door with some things on the door that see pretty obvious who that's coming from. Calling Jean a rat. And so I just want to thank Jean for doing the right thing and being brave because I know this was not an easy decision for Jean. She's brave. So hats off to Jean. And I got to say one thing too, for the naysayers who aren't taking this seriously and don't know where this is going to go, they have documentation. They're not just taking somebody's word. There's obviously documentation there. Text messages. We've already seen some of the text messages. There's a lot more text messages that we haven't seen. So having said all that, the intimidation that's going on, the witness bullying, that's what's going on. Exposing people, doxing them, posting things on their doorways. That's what's going on. And it looks like it's like mafia tactics. And that's what she calls herself, the mafia. And that's what the DA, I believe, is aligned with in Norfolk County. And it's Michael Morrissey. And this is his thing. This is his whole package here. And I think it's going to get exposed. I really do. I think that's the first step of it. And we have some great guests tonight. So let's bring them up. I'm almost speechless right now. I'm like out of breath. Whew. Slow down, Mike. Happy birthday. Let's bring up the guests. Let's bring them up one by one. The first one I want to bring up is the prosecutor. He's a first-time guest. So I don't want to make him wait too long, get too nervous. He's been on a much bigger show. The biggest show around on this was Aidan Kearney, Turtle Boy. He's been on the Turtle Boy show. And I guess he's a current prosecutor, I believe it is. Let's find out. I know he's an attorney. He made Turtle Boy. I mean, he's big time already. So let's bring him up. Hold on, I'm having some tech issues here. Hold on one second. Not now. They want me to restart the computer. Let's go, Matt Kubacki. How you doing today?
I'm good, Mike. How are you?
Good. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I live in Indiana. I'm the homicide chief deputy prosecutor here in Johnson County. Um, Basically, what that means is, like I told on Turbo Show, if anybody had watched that, if there's a body that runs through the county, I'm basically the one that has to handle it. So any homicide case that comes up, we'll screen it, we'll do it. I start from the investigative standpoint of everything, and then work all the way through charging decisions. If we actually do file something, I'll handle the case all the way through. So it's pretty much just a one-man job in Johnson County for me, which I handle. Prior to that, I did criminal defense work for about 6 years. I worked for a private firm, handled about like 80% of my business was federal cases, and then the other 20 were higher felony matters in the state courts. And then I started my career in Marion County, which is Indianapolis. Worked everywhere from juvenile all the way up to homicide, major felony. Did a lot of things with accident reconstruction, OWI death, or the fatal alcohol crash team. And then also in Johnson County, I handle all the OWI death cases as well. So this particular case is something that actually falls into my wheelhouse in terms of things that I'm familiar with. So it kind of struck my attention and got my attention on everything. It was very interesting. Little caveat is everything's just my personal opinion. It has nothing to do with the county office or anything like that. Ever since you posted that I was going to be on here, a couple people that I think are the anti-Karen Reed folks have messaged me or tagged me in some things on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, saying that perhaps my boss, the elected prosecutor, should be aware. Well, he's well aware that I'm doing this. He supports me 110%. He knows that I know what I'm talking about. And the ethical attorney in me says, well, this is just my personal opinion on everything. I just happen to have a lot of experience on it. So they can take that what they want.
That I deal with that frequently for
Yeah,
a
I'm
number
sure.
of years now. People attacking my guests anytime they come on the show. It just sucks, even before Karen Reed, but obviously way more now because of the Karen Reed case and the Turtle Boy cases. But it just sucks. These people are so they just don't want a discussion, an intelligent discussion about something that they don't agree with or they feel that is hurting them. So it's just awful. It just I'm sorry that they're doing that to you. Let's bring up the next guest because we've got three guests here tonight. I'm excited about. She's coming back on the show tonight. She's a private investigator. I compare it to, like, I always go back to Magnum PI. That's my big PI that I always grew up with, or Spencer for Hire. But she's a licensed private investigator. She's also, I don't want to misstate it, but she's got some other higher certifications too. She's very experienced. She's on court TV as well. She does a lot of missing person cases. She's also very much interested in covering the Karen Reed case. She's got a YouTube and an X account that I follow. Let's bring her up now. Welcome back to the show, Loren Vellucci, or
Hi,
Lauren Katie
guys.
on Facebook. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm excited to be with you guys tonight.
Yes. And so tell us quickly about yourself again for people that don't know.
Yeah, so I'm a licensed private investigator. I've done appearances on Court TV, HLN, and I, in my practice, focus on missing persons. That's where my passion is. I do other cases as well, but that is what I love and have a strong passion for. And I love trials. I love, just the thought of getting justice for someone, the victim. And so this case, I didn't know much about it, and now I'm hooked and can't stay away from it. So
That happens to us. That's why I don't know what's going on with the Celtics. I'm going to probably ask this next guest in a bit about what's going on with the Celtics in the playoffs, because I think I have Betterow coming up on one of the shows this week, and I need to know what's going on. He's going to be, who knows? He might be stressed out. He might be just chill. It depends on how the Celtics are doing. I'm very excited. This is like the perfect. Like I said, this is like the best birthday ever with all this news coming out, just where I'm at in my life and just the family and the friends and everyone reaching out. But I'm very happy that this next guest, he's been on the show so many goddamn times, but he hasn't been here in a while. And it's great to have him back. Let's bring him back up on the show. He's an award winning. I still haven't given him his award. I got it over here. He won an award from our show, Best Massachusetts Guest, last year on the show. Mazza Media. Oh, he's back to his old self. What's up,
Yeah.
Mazza?
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I figure, maybe it's best to try to pretend I've never shown my face before and revert back to the old way of doing things. But here's my face. Here's my shirt. Go Celtics. I got a message. Me and Attorney Betterow spoke this evening, and he had questioned my Celtics dedication for being here. But I've assured him that just to my right, I have the TV on right now. I have the Celtics game on. Drew Holiday's out for the game, unfortunately, but the Celtics, they need a big win right now. So it's going to be another run. We need two things. We need Karen Read to be freed, and then also hand in hand, we need Turtle Boy to be freed, and we also need the Celtics. Three things, I should say. We need the Celtics to win another NBA championship. That's what we need here in 2025. And I got a good feeling. This has been a chaotic story for a long, long time, and obviously what we've seen in the last 48 hours, especially with articles that have been dropping from our good buddy Aidan Kearney, there's a lot more information that's coming out right now. That's I would say I wouldn't call it shocking. Actually, I'd say to a degree, some of this information that's come out is probably what a lot of us always kind of theorized, expected, or could have projected. But this is wild stuff. But from the DA's office standpoint, this is a lot of controversy for Norfolk County right now if they are actually handing out money for people to essentially campaign against someone that's being tried in Norfolk County for murder. This is a very chaotic time, and to me, it's great journalism by Aidan, and it seems to me like an ace. I don't think he has an ace up his sleeve, Aidan. I think Aidan has like about 10 different decks worth of aces up his sleeve sometimes, because he tends to have these stories and he drops them and it's like, oh, no way. No, it's true. He has these stories. He holds them, up his sleeve, and then all of a sudden, just bam, he drops them at such an ideal time. Just heading into the second week of the trial here, but not a good look for the district attorney's office right now. And in fact, a district attorney's office that has been beyond controversial for a long, long time and has made a lot of controversial decisions, has been subjected to numerous protests from people from Canton and many other towns that support Karen Read and Canton, Massachusetts values. It's been a long battle, and this is not a good look. And something needs to be done. And for me, that starts with freeing Karen Read of these absurd, ridiculous charges. It's an absolute joke that this is going on into a second trial right now. Nobody's a fan of it. Nobody appreciates it. This is a trial that should have ended in one trial with not guilty across the board. And here we are back again, watching Karen and her family and friends and all her supporters now have to endure a second trial. And there's a couple things we can do. The first thing is pray for Karen, pray for her family, and pray for all supporters of Karen Read. And additionally, raise money for Karen Read and Turtle Boy and anybody else that needs the financial support, which is a huge thing. Fundraising is absolutely huge. Karen Read's fundraiser fund is now over $900,000. And I know Nick Rocco's in the chat. He doesn't like to take much credit, but Nick and Jenna have done an incredible job, working to make sure that gets promoted and that people can make that donation. And it's great work. And Mike, on behalf of many people, we all want to wish you, our absolute favorite grifter of them all, a very happy birthday, sir.
A great grift with you. Mazza, we might be on a list. One of the things that came out in this affidavit is that Kate Peter was asked for a list from Hank Brennan of free Karen Read people. This is the list that I want to be on, and I want to see this list. Would you want to be on this list, or would you be insulted if you weren't on the list?
At this point, I hope I'm on no lists. Let me put it that way. I definitely don't want to be on any list. Like Double Trouble in the comments list. I don't want to be on Double Trouble in the comments list because they don't want me to talk. Double Trouble in the comments might be the only person in the comments that's not happy and says, well, Mazza, let anybody else speak. Well, everyone else has spoken on this show, Double Trouble. But I want to say, God bless you.
Mazza. Right
God
away.
Bless you, Double Trouble. We love you. And even though you may not support me, I support and love you. So that's what I got to say. So there we go.
You're on
I just want to say
list.
welcome back.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
You. Yes.
Thank you.
We did. We missed you. I'm sure you missed all the idiots out there too. The random comments.
Yeah, absolutely. That's for sure.
And
it's okay.
welcome,
People have
Matt. you've officially made it. You were told on Twitter, I guess, so you are in the club now. You have made
Right.
it, so congratulations. We're
I know, I
happy
feel
to have
honored
you with
that I finally
us.
got that.
So yeah, Matt, I want to ask you this latest thing going on with this whole thing with the affidavit and the way that Kate Pete is reacting. What's your take? You're a prosecutor. Have you ever seen anything like this? Is this common stuff where people get paid $1,500 a month, and is this stuff going on? Like what do you think?
In movies, right? In movies or really bad TV shows, you think it would go on. That's kind of been my take on this whole thing. You know, I told Aidan when I first got interested in it, it was just really random and lucky that I happened to stumble across it. No part of this story seems to make sense or seems to really add up, and it doesn't seem real. And I kind of took it from that objective standpoint of, all right, let's kind of see what's going on here. And the more you dig into it, the more you just can't make some of this stuff up. It is just so wackadoo to me, some of these things that go on. So, you know, answer Chris, no, you don't see that very often. In fact, I've never seen it in my career, but seeing it here doesn't shock me because of everything else that's gone on. And it's sort of the irony of, oh, there could be corruption in Boston or these areas. Well, I guess that's, what's happening here. Same thing with this district attorney, the way they sort of have handled things. It's a bad look in my book. And it doesn't matter if it's 100% true, 1% true, 50%, whatever it may be. If any part of this is true, it's really, really bad on many different levels, both from an ethical perspective, from just sort of the validity of the prosecution of Karen, the prosecution of Aidan, just sort of if there's any credibility to any of these witnesses, it just completely throws everything out the window to the point where this just becomes a laughingstock and people need to be held accountable for it, criminally, ethically, lose their license, whatever it may be. It's just going to be bad. So you don't see it. And I hope there are consequences for this.
Yeah.
How do you think the defense for Karen Reed and the defense for Aidan Kearney will try to use this?
Oh, I mean, they got to, as quick as possible, start filing for motions to get things and hearings move forward. I mean, essentially, there's a bunch of processes that have to go forward, but you have to get this individual, now it's been named, into court. You have to start taking testimony. They have to be cross-examined, which basically, lawyers will be able to use fancy words, but we're just trying to figure out, are they telling the truth? Is there any credibility to it? Once we can get that down, then you can figure out, hey, is this coming in as evidence at trial? Is it going to cause if it were me, a good prosecutor to decide that we're going to throw this case out because now we really have horrible credibility issues for our already horribly incredible witnesses that have lied, that are changing their stories. We're seeing this already in week one where some of the testimonies coming out with new facts, new evidence, people saying that their memory got better years down the road, which, doesn't happen. But so it's going to make everything just look bad. Sort of two separate roads. Obviously, Aidan's case is sort of in that pretrial pendency. So they're early on in the process. That's probably going to be the one that does it first in terms of getting a lot of things moving. And then on Karen Reed, you would hope to see her defense start to file motions to kind of track that and see what's going on. I don't know what the judge in Karen's case is going to do. There's been some questions about how she's handled things. I'm not going to talk negatively about a judge or a judicial officer just because ethically I don't ever feel like it's important. But I do think she has done some things that kind of are tiptoeing that line of where we don't think it's being done right. They'll probably track it and watch it. They might push a little bit more quicker to try to get some things moving forward. But I mean, at minimum, they should be able to start asking some of these witnesses that are coming up that I know a lot of people are looking forward to, the Jennifer McCabe's of the world, to just sort of start to really push them and see how much information we can get out. And I think it's going to really hurt the Commonwealth's case because now you've got these witnesses who, you can impeach on a lot of prior testimony, and now you add another layer to it. So all Hank Brennan's trying to do is play these statements that are completely, in my opinion, taken out of context. We have no basis for a lot of these, and he's just playing things that make her look bad. Would I have let her do the interviews or that, documentary? No. But the defense is going to get that ability, basically to play everything in context. It's going to make him look even more foolish. It's going to make the prosecution look even more foolish. And then if you add this to the fire, who do you believe? That's just the definition of reasonable doubt at this point.
Interesting too, because it seems like the Karen Reed defense is already using this stuff related to the reluctant witness filing. So it's interesting that it seems like they've known about it for a little bit here. I want to go to Loren now, because on this, I'm just thinking like with the defense, when they get Gene, they have me, telling them about Gene, and then they're talking to Gene, and they're trying to verify the info and trying to back up what she's telling them. What You're a private investigator. What types of things do you think they'd be looking for to verify? Do you think they might even use private investigators, and how would they use it to like kind of verify and flesh out this information from Gene in the affidavit?
Yeah, so my understanding is that the defense has their own private investigator who has been working with them for some time. So yeah, absolutely, they could use him. And some of these things are pretty simple, right? Just getting like phone records and looking all into the financial history of their bank records and things like that. But it sounds as though some of this that's alleged is pretty recent. So they may still be able to get surveillance videos from some of those places that they supposedly had lunch or met at that. So yeah, they're, depending on the time frame, they might be able to get a lot.
Yep. Mazza, you want to add anything else on this? Any of this discussion?
I'm actually I want to have a little bit of a subject, well, not a subject change, a little bit change of pace. I don't know if you want me to make that transition now or in a moment. It's your call, Mike.
Let's go to Matt first. I want to just on this same subject about like
Sure.
private investigators, or in terms of investigating what, verifying, vetting what Gene's saying.
Sure.
You're a prosecutor, Matt. Like, how would you do that? Like, especially if you were the defense attorneys or the legal, the paralegal, like that I had sent her to.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is either a private investigator. If I'm a prosecutor, I'm using my office investigator. I'm asking my law enforcement partners to kind of help me figure out, hey, is there anything that sort of objectively lends some form of credibility to what they're saying? Because someone signing a sworn affidavit is great. It means that person is put under the penalties of perjury. But then as an attorney, the second layer is we have ethical responsibilities of not misleading the judge. They call it the tribunal, which basically means the courtroom. So whatever we file, whatever we say is supposed to be something that's truthful. Ethically, we have a duty to make sure that we actually have looked that out and vetted that out. Because if we don't, we can get in trouble. We can lose our license. We can be suspended. We can be fined. There's a lot of different things you can do. And so as much as people probably want to say, hey, attorneys don't really focus on ethics, a lot of us do, right? It's just much like when there's bad actors in any profession, they get all the media attention. Most attorneys take the ethical responsibility pretty serious. And I have no reason to think that Aidan's attorneys wouldn't have done that. Especially on a case with this kind of magnitude and this kind of attention. If they're filing something like that, they've vetted it out in some way, shape, or form. There's just no way you're going to put your whole career on stake for something like this. You'll never, risk your career for one client or one case.
My source, I know for a fact that they were vetting, definitely. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense too. And they have receipts. They have texts. That's the big thing. I just wonder how many texts they have. What's in those texts? That's the big question. Mazza, you wanted to kind of pivot to something. What do you want to go to?
Yeah, I got caught up in my thoughts, and I had some things occur to me that I wanted to say, and I got kind of caught up noting them down in the middle of this conversation. But the point I want to make is this: is if Karen Reed is guilty, according to the DA's office, for example, right? This is a woman that apparently did what they're saying she did. Then why does the DA's office need to pay money for an online campaign against Karen Reed? To me, this is more evidence of Karen's innocence, a frame job, and a cover-up. This is, again, just something that I don't know how many times the DA's office has done this, but again, when we're sitting here all over the internet and all over public and every single from Legacy Place in Dedham to bridges all over the state of Massachusetts, people holding signs being told we're wrong and we're out of our minds for believing Karen Reed is innocent, then why does the DA's office, again, need to take it upon themselves to dole out cash? And let me point this out. Let's not limit ourselves to one individual potentially, but perhaps are there more individuals out there that have been receiving cash or Cash App donations to go ahead and run with this stuff? And this is what gets me back to the point of a DA's office is simply their prosecutors or whatever, their job is to prosecute. You have someone that's been charged with crimes. You're to battle this out in court and try to get that particular individual put in jail. But when we sit there all the time and we fight for Karen Read and freeing Karen Read, you get people wearing hats and t-shirts, holding signs, all this stuff. And now all of a sudden you find out this is what the DA's office has been doing. It does nothing but verify and validate what we've all said right along. Frame job, cover up, whatever you want to call it. Here you are back again with more evidence that now shows you that this is exactly what you've always thought it was, and that this is the absolute, whatever you want to call it, against Karen Read. And this is exactly why they did what they needed to do to get Turtle Boy thrown in jail about a year and a half ago, because they wanted to shut him up, because he had a lot of information, because Aidan's sources were very legitimate, and certain people out there couldn't fathom how he was getting this kind of information. And like they said, they wanted his phone. They wanted to know who his contacts were. But like anything, there's always more sources out there, as we've just witnessed recently. What just happened, obviously, with these latest articles from Aidan, which have broken the internet in the world of free Karen Read for the last 48 hours at least. And here we are again. And again, when I'm sitting here every day, and everybody else that's here on this show, in the chat, wherever, Karen Read's innocent. What the hell in the world would a DA's office need to pay people to put out stuff on X? And to a lot of us, we think a lot of these accounts are operated by only so many people. Could it be 10 to 40 people, 5 to 40 people? I don't know. But there seems to be, all of a sudden, since the trial began, I haven't had to block a lot of accounts on X in the past year since the last trial ended. Since this trial began, since jury selection began, all of a sudden, all these accounts on X just started creeping up all over the place. And it was like every post I'd make, there'd be like 15 trolls. I'm like, didn't I already block all these trolls a long time ago? And now they're all back. And
new accounts.
Right.
No, it's so true too.
Yeah.
We've been noticing it. You and I have been like, it's from the very beginning when I took my break. You and I saw it and we diagnosed it. We called it. So many times we thought this thing was going to get exposed, but it never did. And now I think, am I over my skis again? Because it seems like this is going to be it. But I mean, man, this is wild because they do have text, and it's going to be, and it seems like it's already been used by Karen Read, and it's exactly what we all thought. Because we saw it. We saw her basically say Aidan's going to jail, and then Aidan went to jail.
Yeah.
We saw it. We saw this stuff over and over and over again, and the stuff that she gets away with.
And I think
go ahead.
Mike, I think too, like it's why she's so brazen on Twitter and in chats. I mean, she goes into people who are very down the line on this case and just starts bullying and just name calling and stuff, because she knows she has, Morrissey backing her. So she's not scared of the consequences, because as she said to this she's not worried. He's got her back. So I think that, adds credibility to that as well.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? Because, I mean, you must have some, as a prosecutor, like press dealings. I mean, maybe not you, but someone within your office. How do they handle these things? And when is it too, like, over the edge? Like, what are the guardrails on it? And what do you think about this situation?
When you say press dealings, what are you referring to? Just in terms of how we interact with the press, or how we make press releases?
Yeah,
we do them ourselves.
I mean, do you like what about like they call it like pay to play type of things where they're in your pocket, journalists? Are there any relationships like that? No, nothing like that at all. We have. I said this on Aidan's show. We actually have training on how to interact with the press, and that's just because sometimes they will get information that is not supposed to be public too soon. And so by having good, just friendly relationships with them, sometimes they'll tip us off that they have some report that shouldn't have been released yet, that was too premature. And as a courtesy to us, they may not release that until we're able to get something formally filed. Sometimes they won't. It's the press. They're going to do what they want.
but, we just have friendly relations with them. We don't pay anybody. We don't do anything like that. And that's where something like this is just completely, foreign to me and just seems wrong, because it is wrong, right? It calls into question everything that office is doing, everything about this prosecution. And, everyone's talking about, oh, Karen's being railroaded, and she is, right? She's become the scapegoat for this. But it also misses the complete point of what's going on here is someone lost their life. John O'Keefe is dead. And instead, we're sitting here arguing about whether Karen is innocent, Karen is guilty. You've got these people that are so gung-ho and kind of bullying anyone that says she's innocent. And, even kind of what I experienced when you posted that I was going to be on here and just put my, Twitter, X handle, whatever you want to call it these days, I'm really getting nobody from Indiana as far as I'm concerned. All of a sudden, these people who I hear these names all the time, like Julie Carpenter or whatever it may be, they're calling me out on Twitter, all these things. And it's so coordinated how it was like boom, 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 boom for like 30 minutes. And then it was it. That was done. And I'm thinking, yeah, it probably is the same people. Like, we're not stupid.
They put it in their Discord and they all hit you and then it's over.
Yeah.
And it's so funny too, because they're all watching right now. They're the biggest fans. I want to thank Julie Carpenter for watching tonight. Thank you, Julie. You're one of our most loyal fans. She watches every episode. But, as a prosecutor too, like, do you ever see like a government office that's prosecuting, like hire a PR firm even to like go after a defendant?
They might, bigger offices or the federal offices sometimes might seek that just to make sure that what they're writing kind of fits what should be. Everyone's so litigious these days, right? Everyone wants to take everyone to court. Everything's defamation. Everything's libel, whatever it may be. So everyone thinks they're just going to go to court. And with social media being the way it is, everyone's a keyboard warrior. So they all have opinions about everything. So I know we take a lot of careful consideration on the words we use for any press release, whether it's charges being filed, a conviction being secured. If we dismiss or modify charges, we do that. I've seen other agencies or bigger offices do it. I've never seen anyone pay somebody like this in terms of paying someone to launch an online campaign that's clearly devised to smear someone's name, or anyone that supports this person smear their names in it, and just sort of intimidate anyone from even wanting to support it. That's clear their intent in terms of how they approached me today was they didn't want me to come on the show or feel afraid to. And it's like, well, I'm not getting paid. I'm not doing this to get paid. I'm doing this just because I think it's ridiculous what's going on to Karen Reed. Again, just my personal opinion. So if she's watching, Julie, my boss knows, and it's all fine.
And thank
Julie.
you for speaking out. We need more, attorneys, ethical attorneys like yourself to speak out on this, because this is so far beyond just Karen. Unfortunately, it goes further than that. So thank you.
Yeah, and there will be other cases like this that have probably already happened or will come in the future, right? This is, to your point, Loren, this isn't the only one, and there'll be more of this. And again, with social media the way it is, everyone's got an opinion, and that's completely fine. They're all entitled to think she did it. In my opinion, they're just dead wrong. And I think most of the evidence supports that.
Yep.
Definitely does. There's no doubt about it. Let me ask you about this too, Matt. Special prosecutor hiring a defense attorney to prosecute cases, hiring a special prosecutor for Aidan Kearney too, and then saying, the DA's office has to recuse themselves, hire a special prosecutor, but they use the same state police in the case that, that Aidan had criticized heavily, with the same state police showing up to arrest him and investigate him and do the whole case against him. Have you ever seen those types of just obvious conflict of interest not being even addressed by the DA's office or the local press, and the fact that they keep hiring these special prosecutors at such a huge cost to the taxpayers in the office?
I mean, the special prosecutor avenue is the right thing to do in this case. It just, I don't know if this individual, and Hank Brennan, was qualified to do it or really the right person to do it. That's just, again, my opinion on it. But, it's the right ethical thing to do is if you feel like there's any conflict, get a special, recuse yourself from it, and move on from there. Most scenarios we see is because someone's related to somebody. They have some, former relationship, whatever it may be. And so you just kind of do it out of an abundance of caution because, again, what you want to do when you're bringing a case forward is find the truth. It's not a conviction. It's just figure out what the truth is and tell the truth. That's what our job as prosecutors is supposed to be. It's not get a conviction. It's just do the right thing. So that makes sense. When it comes to what agency should be doing it, generally, and so in Indiana, what we typically have is if there are things that are going on, the state police is the branch that will handle everything. it obviously gets messy if the state police has done something and that local post may have been something that looks a little bit more corrupt. You might want to look for a different post to do it. I've never seen where it's gone beyond the state police. There could be federal agencies that could get involved to kind of keep it that way. But typically, you want to do whatever you can just to make the prosecution look legitimate and look just like it's being done right. It just isn't being done like that here. And I think that's why everyone's so up in arms, is because it just looks bad in so many different ways.
Except the mainstream press. It's weird because you know, like you have Aidan making fun of Proctor and Tully and Buchanan one day on his show, and the next day he's being arrested by them. You know, I mean, and this is what's gone on, not just to Aidan too. Like even like great grandmas that made comments about Michael Proctor's wife. Next thing you know, these goons are showing up. The same three goons, you know, Buchanan, Proctor, Tully. They show up, and it's just, I don't know how they don't recuse themselves. And not only that, but how the local Boston media, Channel 7, Channel 4, NBC, all these channels, even Boston 25, who we like, why haven't they brought that up? Like the conflict of interest of these people investigating their own harassment. Like, you got harassed. If you got so harassed that you couldn't handle Aidan Kearney's harassment, how are you prosecuting it? How are you part of the investigation of it?
I think the local media just doesn't get it. It's confusing. And that's probably one of the reasons why. And I think they do have relationships with some of these offices they don't want to burn. And I think that's just something that people have to realize, is that, you know, bigger news networks, they definitely don't understand it fully. Or they have, you know, a panel of people that are kind of like this that want to talk about it and flush it out. They might toe the line about talking about, oh, there could be a conspiracy or a cover up. But I think the more local you get to like the actual community, the less likely those press outlets are going to want to report on cover up or corruption until it's just completely done. And it's just so obvious and everything, all the cases are done. It's easier for them to report on it after the fact, saying, oh, if only we would have known. And I think that's probably what's going to happen here, just because you do have those relationships that you got to preserve.
Excellent. Let's go to Mazza. Do you want to say anything on this? About
I
the
do.
media?
Local media, national media, worldwide media, it's all the same thing, is that they react to, especially local media, they tend to react to everything. They always want to be the outside observer. This has happened today. This has happened today in court. Karen Reed and her team, Karen was in this, whatever. They want to always just talk about everything from an outside observer. True journalism is dead. It's been dead for a long, long time. And this even is evident in newspapers and online resources as well that are mainstream. It's typically independent journalism, independent media that are producing the information that you're seeing on your channel, Aidan's channel, LTL's channel, etc. Down the line, the glare. That's exactly what we're seeing, and they don't want to delve into it anymore. They all have corporate sponsors. I don't want to necessarily run any of the local news down through the mud. I'm just saying, basically just calling it like it is that their job is to react to the story and not immerse themselves in actually investigating the story. I do think Ted Daniels has been one of the more favorable local news reporters of all of them. He's done quite a bit. He had a very nice interview, I thought, with Karen. But they always play that middle of the road because that's what they're obligated to do as media. I think sometimes, too, with local media is they don't want to have too much of a side just in case they're wrong about something. But they, at the end of the day, want to get their story on and print it to the press. And on the local news at 5, 6, and 7, and 10, and 11, again at 11, just to make sure that they get the sound bites out there, that they get the, people call YouTubers grifters. Well, that's exactly what the local media is. They are there to make money. They are there to collect sponsorship money. They have employees to pay and lights to make sure that they're on in the studio, and new cameras and new microphones to get when they need to replace them. It's the same thing there. And I think that they're sometimes concerned as they do take a position on more deep-rooted controversy, such as the Karen Reed case. They don't want to look at it and delve into the depths of it on camera, though you might have a lot of local reporters that are there. I think a few of them do believe Karen Reed is innocent, but if you walked up to them and asked them, and I know a few people have, you're going to get the typical answer, well, I really don't have an opinion on this, and so forth and so on. Because again, it's not that the local reporters don't have an opinion. It's that a lot of times they don't want to actually admit that because they're under the, it's like when you're at a job, you have to adhere to the company policy, and you can't go outside of that. It's the same thing with local reporters, where someone like Ted Daniels could be driving back in the Boston 25 news truck on the way back to Boston saying, I can't believe what they did to Karen in court today, and that witness was lying. He's not going to say that on camera. But I guess that's sometimes the privilege that we have as folks that come on YouTube or X or any other form of social media, where we're not really restricted by a news media company that is also restricted by the sponsorships, and they can't lose their sponsors. They can't be out there saying, we think Karen Read is guilty, and then she's innocent. And now the sponsor's like, we don't like the fact that you called a guilty woman innocent or an innocent woman guilty. I think there's a lot of liability for local news. And I think when we really break it all down, that's probably why they're not so vocal. And I do think to some degree as well, not to completely give them freedom from all of this. I do think sometimes there is a level of negligence from the local media where they want to cover the story as simplistically as they can, get it on the news, get their reporters to report, and move on to the next story that's going to be in the next segment 2 minutes later after our commercial break. And I think that's really a big part of it as well. But I do think that there could be, getting back to true journalism being dead, there could be some more investigation from our local news to delve into it. And but then, of course, you have court TV out there that's, you might have a Vinnie Politan that many believe may actually be believe Karen Read's innocent, but then to the contrary of that, you also have Julie Grant, who is the quite opposite of what believing in Karen Read is all about. Freeing Karen Read, believing in her innocence is all about. She is quite the contrary. She has nothing positive to say about Aidan. She has nothing but negative things to say about Karen Read's supporters, and she's the furthest thing from objective. So sometimes in those forms of media, like court TV, you might have someone that's not so objective, like a Julie Grant, that once blocked me on X because she had a lot to say about Karen Read supporters. And I said, why don't you stop being so negative about us? And why don't you don't have to be favorable towards us, but you also don't have to blast us either. But that's just my opinion. But I was blocked moments later for that comment a while back. So, yeah.
Of course.
Thankfully.
Yeah. So, Loren, do you want to add anything on this about the media or anything we've been discussing right now?
No, I think you guys are right. I mean, they have a fine line. I think that they're maybe scared to even. So I think you guys all have it right.
Howie Carr is.
Yeah, Howie's our guy.
He's crushing it every day. Yeah. Howie Carr.
Yeah. You were just on
Grace Curley. I was on Grace Curley's show.
Grace
second
Curley,
time.
Yeah, she's
Love
good.
It. She's great. I like her, and she's nice. It's funny. It's funny because we're different political perspective, but here we are.
Yeah.
Like loving it for Karen Read. So that's what I like. I like working with everybody on something we all agree on. With the Young Jerks, we got some great guests here tonight, and we're discussing all of this Karen Read, Turtle Boy stuff, Aidan Kearney. A couple things I want to ask, because Monday, tomorrow, it's going to be the ARCCA, this whole brouhaha about ARCCA. What are we expected tomorrow? Let's go with Matt first. What do you think is going to happen with ARCCA tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know if you hear in the background. My son is in a different room talking.
No,
loud,
we can't.
So I apologize if you heard him.
Totally fine.
I don't really know what to expect. I know what it should go. How it should go is essentially you have what they call voir dire, which is basically you're asking questions to these witnesses about whether or not there was any sort of discovery infringements or violations going on. I would hope that in a correct world, they'll be allowed to testify. They'll be allowed to testify to the new things just because of the timing of everything, of when they got everything from the Commonwealth, how late it was, to how long this trial will go on. There's plenty of time for the prosecution to be able to digest everything that Karen's experts want to say, any new information they have, and kind of move on from it. I know that they don't want that, and it's understandable why they don't want that, because everything he's been doing, Hank Brennan, has been to try to keep new bad information out and try to keep the bad information from the first trial out to the best extent he can. It should come in. There's no reason for the prosecution ever to object to that new evidence coming in. It just looks bad, no matter how over the top it may seem. As long as the rules of evidence would permit it to come in, let it come in. Just let it come in, and then have your experts be ready for it. His, remedy, as it would be to get a little bit extra continuance, a little bit extra time. You can question the jury longer if you need to. You can kind of drag the case out a little bit longer if you need to, but that's how it should go. How it may go, I don't know, because this goes into how the judge has kind of ruled on certain things and how she's sort of looking at where the violation may occur with these text messages. I've never seen that as being part and parcel of what any defense or prosecution is supposed to keep records of. A lot of the rules, as I've kind of looked at it, because every state has different rules. So she's been citing a lot of the American Bar Association rules, which are basically just guidelines. They're not really anything that help the states at all, other than sort of tell the states who make their own professional responsibility rules for attorney ethics. It kind of tells us how we're supposed to do things. Most of it is about protecting a client's files and protecting an attorney in terms of violating a client's rights in the future. So, like in Indiana, we have to keep our files for a certain number of years. I think it's about 8 years or 10 years. And we do that so if our client ever needs anything from us, we have everything that we're supposed to keep. It's usually going to be some emails, it'll be written notes we might have on there, any actual discovery we have, and we just kind of keep it. From my private work in my garage, I've got, banker's boxes of old files for those clients. If they ever reach out to me, I've got them, for the next 10 years after I've left criminal defense work. Text messages don't fall under that in Indiana, as far as I'm concerned, with a case like this. I've never seen that needed to be something that needs to be seen. I understand that the Commonwealth would love to have that aha gotcha moment, but even if that is something that's there, it's more something that the judge can easily put some form of, a monetary financial fine against Karen's attorneys, not keep evidence out. This evidence should come in. It's the only way you can kind of guarantee she's getting a fair trial. If you keep it out under a weird discovery violation, when there are other avenues to sort of fix the situation, that being a continuance, you're really just setting up an appeal. And you're just having this case come all the way back for trial number 3 because you've now completely denied Karen for being able to raise a defense that she's justified in doing. And that's the meat and potatoes of this case is going to be that forensic evidence that shows there's, in my opinion, no way this could have happened based on how their theory of the case is. So if you deny her that ability to do it, then how can you say she gets a fair trial? So that's how it should happen. How it's going to happen, I'm expecting there to be some weird things because that's kind of been the name of the game for this case, unfortunately.
Yeah, great point on that.
Think about the ARCCA. What's your expectation on what could happen tomorrow?
Sorry, did you see me at I have someone at my door, so my sound is kind of going in and out.
Oh, I was asking you the same question. Like, what's your expectation on Monday for this hearing about ARCCA and whether they'll be allowed to testify and how Bev will handle this and how ARCCA and the defense will handle it?
Yeah, I think Bev is scared as well because that's, these are people that are in the same community, and whether you like it or not, she has ties to people, and whether she wants to make it as close or not, that's my opinion. But I do think that Hank, we're going to see a ramped up version of how Hank was with Dr. Russell and how aggressive he was. I think he's going to be extremely aggressive and really just off-putting. I hope that he goes and that, go ahead and do it with the jury, because I don't think the jury is going to like that. So I think Bev is going to make a big deal about the text messages. I've never heard of anything where you've had to keep your text messages of your, clients and all that, and then add on that there was a federal investigation on top of it, which Bev has already, said she's never experienced doing her trial work as well. So there's a whole bunch of things, but she can't keep this out. She cannot keep this out. They don't want to retry this case again. They're hoping for a win. They're gonna get a win, but they're hoping for one. So it is, it's a huge issue if she keeps it out. So I think they ultimately come in.
Is you still there? We lose Mazza? Or is
Yeah,
it
I'm
me?
still here. I was having some technical difficulties of my own over here. No, I think it's me. My system's been messing up here. But
I
yeah,
think it's
I think you had
StreamYard,
the
actually.
question was, is it? Yeah, it's been glitching left and
Yeah,
right.
I think it's StreamYard's acting up because I think we're all having the same issue. But I guess the question is, what do you think will happen tomorrow with ARCCA and Bev and Hank and the defense tomorrow?
Yeah, can you hear me right now?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Maybe turn off your
Okay, great.
video. Just go audio.
What's that?
You
Yeah,
might want
I
to
don't know.
just turn off
Something's
your video and just go
wrong.
audio. Just go audio.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the system right now, but it's all glitchy. You know what? Just move me for a second. I'll come back in a few minutes.
Okay.
Just move me from the
Cool,
show. I'll
man.
come back in a few. Yeah, thanks.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. So I mean, I hope it works out with ARCCA tomorrow. That's just like they need. I'm just afraid, honestly, that that Bev could turn around and just exclude them the way she's acting lately. I know it's not likely, but I do have that like 1% fear. Do you think, Matt? What do you think? Do you think there's any likelihood that she would actually exclude them entirely?
I don't see how she could exclude them entirely. I could see in the most likely worst case scenario being that she limits them to whatever they testified to at the first trial. And I think that would probably be the most reasonable worst case scenario for Karen Read, is that they're just limited to that, which then puts, the Commonwealth in a really advantageous position where they're able to kind of take that and go +1, and Karen can't do anything other than maybe cross-examine the Commonwealth's experts on it. But it's really hard as an attorney to cross-examine someone who's an expert in their field, that's a PhD type, level, and trying to point out how they might be wrong, because they're always going to fall back on the fact that they're smarter. And juries are just weird animals, and they really love that CSI forensic type stuff. So if someone comes up there with a bunch of letters at the end of their name and a bunch of credentials from really good schools, and they're telling you this is how it's going to go, they really take that stuff in. And so if you're limiting them, yeah, that's probably the most likely worst case scenario for Karen. I still think, though, if the judge does that, it does set itself up for a really big appeal issue. I don't know a lot about how Massachusetts law works, but I know in Indiana, and most states have this, is we have what's called interlocutory appeal, which basically means we press pause in the middle of it because this particular issue is just so big. If we don't take it to the appellate courts now, we're not going to be able to have a fair trial. That is something that could be very likely to happen if she does something in that realm, either exclude them entirely or limits them, where they may ask for that to be certified or file that, because that's something that really should be flushed out. So we don't want to come back here a third time because the judge has done something wrong, because all that does is just Karen's got to deal with everything, but John O'Keefe's family has to deal with this again and again. And it really just re-victimizes them, where I'm sure they can have their opinions on whatever it may be, but the more they have to live this trial, the harder it is for them. And so a big portion of what my focus is on my job when I'm handling any case involving somebody that was actually murdered, if they were, in dealing with a manslaughter type case, or if there was an attempt murder, whatever it may be, it's protecting those victims, of just making sure I'm not making their life any harder than it already is, because them seeing me and working with me means something really bad happened to themselves or their loved ones. And I don't want to put them through it all the time. And that's kind of what you might do if the judge decides otherwise.
Mazza, what do you think?
ARCCA is a big deal. This is first and foremost about tomorrow. I think Robert Alessi is going to throw some haymakers in court. He's been, I like this name, the armor of Alessi, that someone has in the chat there. It's Robert Alessi is the spirit animal of the entire Free Karen Read movement. He just likes to come out swinging and say everything with a lot of power and authority, and his words always are very well articulated and well stated. And I just love that guy so much. He's a great addition to Karen Read's team. Now, the issue that I have with what's going on with the ARCCA here is that I think it's absolutely insane, to Matt's point, that I agree with Matt, of course, is that this is still, this can is still being kicked down the road now in the middle of trial. Now, the judge here wanted to ensure that this trial began what you would consider on time, which is in April. But there have been things that have not been properly sewed up and tucked in prior to that trial beginning. And this here within lies what's going on with ARCCA, which is that this is something that's still being a voir dire on a Monday. And I think last week there was one or two occurrences where some of Karen Reed's attorneys had to speak about matters that were going on. And it's just, the trial should be the trial. It should be witnesses being direct examined and cross-examined, and then you switch, and then the prosecution and defense are now flipping roles, cross-examine, direct examination. But you have here in this particular case that they want to do a half day on Monday, where they have the jury sit in for the trial and then kick them out for the afternoon, and then in the afternoon come back and do a voir dire regarding ARCCA again. These are matters, in my particular opinion, I'm sure Matt, who has the legal experience in this matter, can correct if I'm wrong in any way. But this, to me, seems like it's very uncommon, if extremely rare, that something like this is still being discussed and we have an argument. Now, the prosecution has the right to, question any, argue against any particular experts being questioned or whatever and being on the stand or whatever. That's fine. That's their right. But I don't think that this should be going on in the middle of the trial. I think that this trial should have either been paused, and this is just my opinion here, should have either been paused or this matter should have been worked out. And I would say maybe they should just work this whole thing out before the trial even continues, because this is just getting ridiculous that they can't even sufficiently have a trial under the context that it should be, under the typical pattern that it should be undergoing. Well, this is still going on. And guys, I think Alan Jackson's kept this cool. I think Eliza's kept her cool. But with David Yannetti and Robert Alessi right now, I think they're really showing what we all kind of feel, which is just the absolute frustration. And David Yannetti is not playing, not that he ever played softball, but I'm talking from a mental standpoint. He's had a softball level of patience last trial. Now he's playing hardball, where it's like, okay, look, I've given this judge the patience first time around. Now I'm getting a little frustrated here. Now I'm going to bite back even more than I did last time, because it's, I think what it is too, is you can always give a frustrating scenario a certain level of patience, but there comes a time in everyone's life where you can no longer tolerate the nonsense anymore. And I think David Yannetti was very good at displaying that poise and patience, despite the judge's constant interruptions last year. But I think this year he's just kind of like, we shouldn't even be here. This is ridiculous. But now I'm trying to make points to you and state cases to you and state law to you. And you're telling me how I can and cannot cross-examine a witness. I want yes or no answers. And then you're telling who's on the stand how to answer the question according to however they see fit. And she's undermining David Yannetti in court. And Robert Alessi at the same time is frustrated with the judge, where he's literally at some points raising his voice, if not constantly. And honestly, I don't blame him at all. Because this is the level of frustration. And it gets down to the two arguments about the judge. Whether you love her or hate her, whether you think highly or negatively, most people think negatively. She's either the most inexperienced judge ever, or she's just playing gatekeeper for Norfolk County. And it could be both. It could be one or the other, more than the other. But that's exactly, I need to take a breath. Someone said, yeah, I'm fired up, Tyrone.
I love it. You've been missing the show. We've been missing the spicy Mazza too. So this is great to get it back.
I'll probably take a breath in a second. But yeah, it's just, that's what it is. It's a certain level of frustration. And now, when you come off the first trial, which was extremely controversial, ended in incredible controversy that's still being fought at the Supreme Court level in Massachusetts, right? Now you're in a second trial. And now all this insanity is going on. And to the prosecutor's credit, a prosecutor is always going to try to do everything they can to win the case. This particular prosecutor is a lot more, he likes to dot his I's and cross his T's and look underneath the rug to see what's there and put on the rubber glove and see what is making up the dust. And that's what he's doing here. He's going after every interview Karen's done with 2020 or any other location. He's really got a microscope. This particular prosecutor. But it's frustrating at the same time that this ARCCA battle is going on, in my opinion, at an inappropriate time, which is on true trial time, when this all could have been worked out. And I think that if they needed to push this trial back to May to get this ARCCA portion worked out before they started this, that would have been the way to do it. But to push this trial when it wasn't fully ready and it hadn't fully ripened or whatever you want to say, that's the big issue here. And it's got to be frustrating for the defense that's trying to get their ARCCA witnesses on the stand later in this trial and they're still battling all this. So it's just, it's very frustrating. And I completely relate with David Unetti and Robert Alessi when they kind of get a little bit, little tough. They start their fists start to clench a little bit. Not that they're going to hurt anybody, but they just kind of get the righteous anger, as they say. So.
Loren's got a cat on the head.
Yeah, there we go.
Cat on
Oh,
the
that's
top
funny.
of the head over here. Look at this. What creature is this? What's the name of this? I think you're on mute. Maybe you're on mute, Loren.
Sorry, yes, I'm on mute. I forgot because he was trying to get the whole time. This is Cash, actually Cash Yanetti. So yeah, he's my little buddy. He's like a little mommy's boy, but he is. Sorry,
look, he's kissing your face.
Yeah, he's
so
a
cute.
sweetheart. He's a sphinx, so he's kind of like a cross between a dog, monkey, and a cat. So
I almost thought it was a dog, and then I was like, "Oh my god, that's a cat!
Yeah.
That's a cat!" I was like, "Is that a little dog?" So cute. Oh, cat! It's Cash. Cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cash. That's awesome. Love it. I love animals. I love all the dogs and kitties on the show. Yes. Someone said they loved the outfit. Did Cash have an outfit on?
Oh yeah. So they get cold. So he's got quite the wardrobe. We have the tie dye on tonight.
He's
so
got a.
yeah.
So he is very dog-like. We do that for some of the
very, very. Yes. He heard me in here, so he snuck in the little crack that I left the door. So he wanted up here. So
he had to come in. All right, we get some super chat questions I'm going to bring up, or even comments too. Nicole says, I hope they bring up The Rock at the View with the jury. That was absolutely uncalled for and should be a matter for mistrial or at least investigated. I don't know. That's my thing. I'm not sure. I'm not sure it made that much of a difference. What do you all think? What do you think about The Rock? Do you know about this? Do you know what they're even talking about? Because some people don't. You do? Okay. So who wants to go first? Go ahead, Loren.
So I know that it wasn't there the day prior because people have driven by there and have come out now and said it wasn't there. And no, it disappeared the day after the jury view. So to me, that was very specific. Someone placed that there for a purpose. What that purpose is, I don't know. I know Joe Krowski has already blamed Karen Reed supporters. But it might have I don't think it hurts Karen Reed's defense that was done because, you know, the jurors are not dumb, and I'm sure something going to be said about there was no rock there at the time of the, you know, John's death. So why is this, but like importantly, why is this rock here? And it's real easy to maybe pinpoint why and when it came and who placed it there. The new owners, unlike Albert, have Ring camera footage. So my thing is, will this be investigated? And if it is not investigated, I think that will speak volume as to who maybe placed it there, because you know, they have tons of video camera footage. So why, you know, if they want to know who did this, they can easily find it. So we'll see if there's a proper investigation into it. But I can't believe that the jury was allowed to have a jury view with that there, with the name on it. I mean, that's wild.
I will say it is strange. I don't think it's going to make much difference with the jury, but it is strange. It's weird for Krowski to blame it on Free Karen Reed. How would that help Free Karen Reed? I don't get that. Yeah. Matt, you know about it. What did you think about it? I mean,
it's weird, right? It's not going to cause a mistrial. It's just not, in my opinion. It's not a great thing in terms of it being there, but it's not going to impact the jury. You know, like Lauren's point is, there undoubtedly be questions just to clarify that wasn't there. So, you know, the jury would think, well, if that rock was there, why wasn't it taken, tested, or anything like that? So they're not going to look at it, and they'll probably look at it worse for the Commonwealth than anything else. I think especially after everyone does come up and testify, the Alberts testify, it's not going to look good that rock was there. I think it probably hurts the Commonwealth's case more than anything else. Juries in general, usually, in my opinion, during jury selection, that's when the case is sort of won. It's just they like people, they like you on their first impression. Not that it's a guarantee the case is going to win, but they're going to start to like kind of take things and go with who they like the best from that first impression standpoint. So the more and more the Commonwealth kind of locks himself into certain things, and you have weird things like the stone popping up, and those things just look bad and shady, and like I guess for lack of a better phrase, bad PR campaign for them during this trial, they're going to start to get, completely turned off and probably start to lean more towards Karen Read's innocence if they're not already there. And that's if they really don't like her to begin with.
Do you want to comment at all on the Rock situation?
Yeah, The Rock is a pretty solid movie with Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery. The Rock was a very excellent wrestler as well.
What's The Rock cooking?
Right, what The Rock is cooking? But yeah, I can't believe this was something that was actually on the grass there at that lawn. I don't know what the purpose of it is. I don't know who placed it, why it was placed, and furthermore, why this wasn't tended to in the first place. So that's definitely something I got to say was very intriguing. I don't know what to really make of it, but yeah, all very interesting. So.
Valesi, there's your dude. You called him out earlier.
Oh yeah.
Said I think The Rock was bizarre. In my mind, putting Albert on it says exactly who caused Officer John O'Keefe's injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to some other super chats here. We had I got to thank this guy here. Shem Wow sent 50 Canadian dollars. It says, Mazza, we think alike. Has anyone ever heard Karen Read say, "It wasn't me, it wasn't me, it wasn't me"?
Yeah.
Karen Read owned this from jump. Could I have done this? Did I hit him? She was ready to take responsibility from minute one if in fact it was her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, it's a great point. She was more than open to like, did I, I guess she said, did I hit him? But they blew that out of proportion there, didn't they? Oh, very interesting stuff.
Yeah, and I can see why she said that. You drop him off, and then the next morning he's on the ground, and he's been there. Like, you can tell. So she's running through all the possibilities. Could I have possibly hit him? Like, I can see myself saying the same thing. I mean, you're trying to make sense of what you're seeing.
Right.
Right, too. And, out late too, up early, you kind of foggy in the morning too. So there's a lot going on there. A lot of stress as well.
Yeah.
A lot of worrying too.
I've seen cases too where people are sitting, could I have done more? Is there more I could have done when they had no involvement with their loved one's death?
Yeah.
So
yeah, people always blame themselves. It's so true. So many times. If something bad happens, the first, like a parent, if a kid gets hurt or something, the parent, I've seen that so many times where the parent blames themselves. It happens. It does. Like just a random, like a kid falling down the stairs. You know what I mean? The parent's like, I should have been there. And it's like, you can't stop every, little accident with your child, unfortunately. Let's take this one. Especially like Matt here. CLK says, can the FBI take the case over in the middle of the trial and then dismiss with prejudice? How would that work, Matt?
No, they can't. It becomes a jurisdictional issue, right? So this is a state case. The only person that can do anything is going to be the Commonwealth. Now, there are certain rules where once the Commonwealth rests, could the judge potentially dismiss the case as they haven't proven it? Sure. I don't think it's a very low threshold in Indiana. So it's not going to happen. But no, unfortunately, the federal government can't take over that. It's sort of the imperfect part of our system is that if Karen is convicted and we still have these issues, it's the appellate avenues. So the higher courts, you can do through the state court, they can do through the federal courts. That's where someone like her, if they were convicted wrongly, would find, any sort of relief or freedom. It's basically all the big documentaries you see on Netflix of people being, exonerated for crimes they didn't commit. Unfortunately, they have to wait years and years and years if they ever get to that point of, finally being free for it. But yeah, no, the federal government can't do anything that they already haven't done, which they actually were involved here, which is still mind-boggling to me.
We had a few comments here happy about Mazza being back on the show. Alba Gamer 82.
Thank you.
And also, where's this other one? Sherry D says, happy birthday, Mike. Amazing faces on screen. So nice to see Mike's OG partner, Mark Mazza. It's a reunion over here tonight.
That's right. Exactly. Someone said I need a timer when I talk tonight. I'm like, I haven't talked in a couple minutes, so I'm good.
Yeah, he's got some extra time allotted to him tonight. This is a special Mazza night.
It's a
Come
comeback
on.
episode, right? Yeah, come on,
Give
folks.
it to him.
It's
Come
all
on.
good.
How
Yeah.
many times you been on the show, Mazza, you think?
I don't even know. Too many times.
We
I'm just kidding.
we figured out Bettero's been over 60 times because we created a playlist to him.
No
So every
kidding.
time he came on, we added him up, and it's over 60. So I got to think you're over 60 too, because
Wow.
you've been on the show probably like not every single time, but like most of those, and then other times too without him. So I think you're over 60, 70, probably
Right.
probably 100.
Right. Wow. Jeez. Well, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Think about it. If you're on once or twice a week for over a year,
Yeah. Right. That's a good point. Wow.
good to have you back. When's the last time we did a show together? Like either your network, Brian's network, my network. Like when? It's been a while.
I don't even remember. It's been over a month, at least 5 weeks or more. Yeah, it's been a while. So yeah, it took a
Should
little
not
break.
happen. It should
Yeah,
not happen.
exactly. Yeah.
Especially now. We
Yeah.
need you.
I know. That's what everyone keeps telling me. They need me back, so I'm happy to be back. So
Here's another one. Letteros by Bettero was missing you too.
thank you.
I want to thank this one, Kathy. She says, hi from Australia. New media are the ones doing research, Holly weird to local corruption, COVID to online scammers. People at home do better than mainstream media. I think the nice thing is that, like what Mazza was saying, back in the day when I started doing this, we were always worried about sponsors and getting sponsors and keeping sponsors. And half the time we'd get shady sponsors and I'd basically go and blast them. Get fired, basically get us our sponsorship canceled because I just didn't like them. You know what I mean? Like even these small little internet radio stations we did. So it's nice now. The audience kicks in, and that's basically how we do it. All of us. It's there's some ad money sometimes too, but it's mostly the audience supports it, and you're not going to get fired unless you. The only thing that stinks is about the platforms. The platforms have a lot of control, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I want to thank everyone for all the birthday wishes tonight. We got some more questions. I'm going to get to some more questions here. Let's get to this one here. Will the defense, this is Need Some ZZ, says, will the defense make requests for government and private cell phone email addresses of Brennan, Lally, Kearney, Morrissey, the former jury person, Jen McCabe, Kerry Roberts? What do we all think about this because of the the latest affidavit? And they were already requesting a lot of this. This is like, it's like just adding on to the big pile, I mean, I feel like the judge Kearney is always against everything. So it's going to be an uphill battle with her. I don't know about Aidan's judges. I think they may get more, I don't know, what do you call this? Bang. They may get more, they may get further with some of the judges Aidan uses. What do you all think about this?
Agreed. I agree with you 100%. And I think they have to, because that's how they're going to be able to corroborate what this affidavit states. So they're going to have to get, the cell phone records that are pertinent to finding out if this is accurate and then how to move forward with it.
Yeah, I think at minimum, you're talking about those requests for any witnesses in Karen's trial. Same with any witnesses in Aidan's trial. At minimum, that should be requested and looked at. In terms of the actual government actors, the judge, the Commonwealth, and the elected district attorney, that can be done in those cases. I don't know if that will be granted in Karen's case. It'd be a little bit harder for a judge to do that. She might have to recuse herself at that point or allow a different judge to think that over. I think in Aidan's case, to Loren's point, that probably has a better chance of maybe getting passed. But there's also ethical disciplinary complaints that could be filed too, where that information can come out. So there is a chance where in some forum, whether it's in the criminal courts, a civil court, or some disciplinary hearing, all those pieces of information could come out. When that's made public, if ever, that's a different story. But those things should be requested by somebody at some point.
Did you want to make a comment on this?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people out there, in the Commonwealth or prosecution, whatever you want to call them, want cell phone records from Aidan, Karen, David and Eddie, members of the defense team, what have you. So I think that, in light of some of the news that's broken recently, there could have been particularly some individuals involved. There's been stated before that Michael Morrissey had a burner email. These are all things that are of grave concern and seem to be relevant to the trial just as much as any communications Karen or Aidan Kearney have had amongst themselves, or Aidan among Karen's attorneys. So I'd say, someone should make a case for why this information should be looked into. Definitely, no question about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, Cheesy Banana was the email address that one of the email addresses Morrissey was using, which is, I just chuckle about that every time. I asked the candidate running for office against him for DA. I asked her, do you have any emails that are Cheesy Banana?
Oh boy.
MG says, does anyone think KP is feeding false information text to make everyone look foolish for reporting on this? I don't think she's purposely feeding false information, but I think it's possible that some of her statements to her friends are false just because she's got ego and she lies to them to embellish her importance. That's definitely possible. But we'll find out. What do you all think about that?
I think that's
Yeah,
where the vetting. Sorry, Lauren, I'll let you go.
No, go ahead, Matt.
I was just saying, I think that's where the vetting and verification from the attorney standpoint comes into play, where
Exactly.
that could be the greatest hoax in the world if she was doing that. It would make everyone look foolish in terms of having anything filed. But where the attorneys who filed this, they're going to make sure that these things are corroborated before they do anything. So could there be things that maybe aren't fully true? Sure. I don't think this is 100% accurate, but it's probably pretty close. And at the end of the day, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? And there's so much that's coming up in that affidavit. It's really hard to believe that at least part of that's not true.
And I don't think KP had any idea who she was talking to. I mean, that's the beauty of it. It's her next door neighbor. You know what I mean? It's just someone that she knew in the neighborhood. It just, like I was saying this earlier, just like one of those things in life. It's just a coincidence. It's just the way it turned out. But Loren, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, she's not the most truthful person in the world. We know this. So is there embellishments in there? Probably. But I think for the most part, I think we're going to find a lot of truth. There's receipts and the text messages and things like that were vetted. And even for, Turtle Boy to put that out, he has seen receipts, I feel like. So
Yeah,
I think a lot of it is probably very accurate. And so it really doesn't matter, in my opinion, if there's a little embellishment here or there. Okay. But the main points are probably the main points, and something in there is accurate. And if that's the case, then they have a big problem on their hands.
Maz, what do you think on this?
I like that point by Loren. I think that one of the points Aidan made on her show last night was that some of the information, whether it was, I don't know if there was any false feeding, but let's just say all the information she said was true. It could be some of that information was slightly misinterpreted or incorrectly interpreted by, whomever, leaked that information. But I think that, like, to Loren's point, to a degree, there must be a degree of truth in that. There must be some things that are relatively true or spot on. Aidan said multiple times on his show last night that it's in line with other things that have happened or other, information he's heard or found. So it'd be very interesting. Very interesting. This is very interesting information. And to a point that was just made, I think in the chat just there, obviously the attorneys must have approved any release of this information by Aidan, just my particular understanding. So this is very interesting information. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes. That's for sure.
Definitely. Captain Skidmark says, is it possible the Mass State Police is supplying KP with investigative resources? I think anything's possible. I wouldn't put anything by any of them at this point. I feel like I'll go to Mazza first since we've been going to him last. What, you want to comment on this first?
I would say it's all in play. I don't know to what level, but I would say that it's possible. I'm going to keep it kind of in the middle of the road there on that. It is possible. It's not, I don't think it's something you can definitely say has occurred or not occurred, but it's definitely in play. There's no doubt. I mean, there's been a lot of things that have gone on that suggest that, they've been in communication. So that's about all I got to say on that one.
Anybody else want to weigh in, or are we good with that one?
Well said.
I
I
think
agree.
we're good.
Yeah.
We're good. Yeah. How about this one? I'll ask any of you, because I'm not sure what they're talking about. Brenda S. says, did you all see the friendly smile exchange between Jen McCabe, Kerry, and Bev when she stepped down? Get me those phone logs. Kerry knew she was safe, corruption out in the open. Did you notice this? Any of you?
Yeah, I think it was probably because she called her Jen McCabe. Thank you, Miss McCabe, but it was Roberts. And
Oh,
so
yes, I
then,
did recall that.
yeah,
Yeah, she looked over. Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
That's right. Okay.
So I think that's
Now I'm
probably all that
recalling.
was.
Okay. Yeah, that was kind of funny. She kind of
Yeah, I think
laughed,
she was
right?
flattered. Honestly, I think she was flattered with it.
Yeah. Yeah, she's flattered by that is probably the truth, and that's how. Wow. It's almost felt like Bev, like it clicked in Bev's brain that like Kerry Roberts is controlled by Jen McCabe.
It was perfect. It really was.
Yeah, it was just wild. Thank you, Brenda S. Sorry I didn't recognize what she was asking at first. I kind of there's so much info in this. It's easy to forget what you've already seen and gone over. I've gone over that. I had the video we did like 2 nights. I don't know how many nights ago. Gary Titus says this has turned into the gang that couldn't shoot straight. Corruption to the hilt. Gary's a Canton resident, well known DJ. Thank you, Gary. Thank you for supporting, and thank you to everybody in Canton who has been doing the right thing on this for their town. Like Gary. Gary's a very stand-up guy. He's a great guy. This is a good one. Few different versions of this coming up tonight. Need Some Z says, what control will Bev have over this kind of info, the allegations in this affidavit? I'll go to Matt first. What do you think, Matt?
Well, I mean, at minimum, it's going to be the control over what questions you can ask the witnesses that are going to testify as fact witnesses for the Commonwealth. So, the McCabe's, the Alberts, anybody that might have been implicated in that affidavit. She's going to allow what information or questions can be asked on cross-examination, or if the Commonwealth is smart, right, they'll try to get out ahead of this if she is allowing certain things to come in. Undoubtedly, they'll have another hearing, I think, if it's brought up. They'll have a hearing about it outside the presence of the jury. They'll talk about things. She'll make that decision about what they can and can't ask. She could say nothing could be asked about it. She could say a little bit could be asked about it. So you'll kind of see on it. She has a lot of control over it in terms of what could be presented to the jury, at least at that minimum. In terms of if there's new evidence that could come in or other things that should be investigated or should be produced by the Commonwealth, she'll have control over that too. It really depends on how, I guess, she feels it's relevant to the trial at all. In Indiana, we can impeach people on certain things. Sometimes we can't use what's called extrinsic evidence or, things that are unrelated to this, but we can kind of impeach them on their credibility or truthfulness. So that may not be able to come in Karen's trial, might come in Aidan's trial. So in terms of what Judge Kearney can do, kind of, in my opinion, just limited to what questions you can ask the witnesses, but she has a pretty wide net over this. So it really just depends on what Karen's attorneys want to argue should come in. And they should really go for, all of it and allow her just to parse it down and kind of see what happens. Because it does go into a lot of different forums. Like I said, disciplinary, the criminal case, civil case, whatever it may be. So she's got a lot of power over it. And that's part of the importance of why you have to really look at who you elect as a judge. Because in cases like this, they make big decisions.
Question for Loren. Loren, can you track Cash App transactions, and how? I'm going to add on to that a little bit. This is from Sue. And how would the defense be able to? Is it possible for them to kind of track Cash App transactions?
Yeah, that would all be in like extraction like that. But yes, they can. They're investigators, and all of that will be able to. And obviously, like the Commonwealth is going to want to investigate it too, so they're going to run their things, and all of that will be extracted. So there is ways around that. But that she wasn't super bright. So was it only Cash App? Was it Venmo? I mean, some of those things are public. So I mean, you know, there's no telling what they're going to find if they properly, and that's the key word, properly investigate this. So it, you know, but to her question, yes, it can be tracked.
Most of the questions answered tonight in the super chats. I'm going to look for any new ones. But Mazza, do you have to go soon too?
Yeah, I'm gonna head out here right now. Yeah, I'm getting ready for
Celtics. Well,
the
how
Celtics.
are the
Yeah.
Celtics on? How are they doing?
They're up 44-38. They were down 18-10 at one point, but rallied back. So it's about 5 minutes left in the second quarter right now. So I got to run to watch.
You made
the rest
it this
of that game.
far. I want
know,
to
right?
thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for being on my birthday. I did.
Appreciate
You know
it.
what? I did ask Mark Betterow to be here tonight. He chose the Celtics.
That's all right. That's all right.
I think he's coming tomorrow night. Maybe.
I see Aidan Turtleboy just gave me a shout out in the comments there. He said,
He did.
He's in the, there he is.
Is he in the? He's in the chat right now? Turtleboy is.
Yeah, he's in there. Yep. What's going on, Turtleboy?
Oh, there he is. There. Oh,
Yep.
I just lost it. I hate that when,
when
I click on one and then it moves. There it is.
Yep. There it is.
Oh, thank you, Turtleboy. Turtleboy wished me happy birthday too, and yeah.
Awesome
This
stuff.
is yeah. I would say congratulations to Turtleboy too.
Yeah. Oh, his articles have been a lot of information on that he's gotten there. So it's these articles were. I was up early in the morning reading one of them Saturday morning. I was like, whoa, this is an interesting breaking story here. And then the one he released today was also a very intriguing article as well. So just a lot of information coming out, and just a case that continues to have more and more stories and subplots attached to it. You know, it's like a tree that's constantly growing branches off of branches. It just never seems to be boundless. So let's see another one coming tonight after the Celtics.
Breaking news. Turtleboy says we got another one coming after the Celtics tonight.
There we go.
I can't wait for that. You know, I gotta say, like when he does the late night ones, like when he put that one out on Gene, I couldn't sleep that night. I was like, oh my God, it finally came out. I was just like, I can't. I was up to like 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I cannot sleep tonight. This is just
right. Oh, yeah.
Is it going to keep me up tonight, Turtleboy?
Right. Yeah, well, I ended up waking.
You're going to keep me up till 3 a.m. again because I can't sleep after I read the story.
That's funny stuff. So go Celtics, and champions last year. Twist it this way. And the Patriots had a great draft. I love their picks, especially Trayvon Henderson from Ohio State, who is going to be an incredible running back, I believe, in the NFL, who can just about do it all, running and receiving, as well as pass blocking, and his slashing and all that's absolutely fantastic. Will Campbell's a good offensive lineman, I think, too. Some have concerns about the short arms. Aidan called him the T-Rex arms last night on his show, which was really funny. But some are concerned about that. But I think he'll end up being a good tackle. But I think the Patriots drafted very effectively last night and gave themselves really what they needed, which is a great boost offensively. And other than that, go Celtics. And free Karen Reed, free Turtleboy. And here we go. Another week about to go down in Dedham. So,
welcome back, Mazza.
Thank you.
Hi, Mazza. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Nice meeting you all. Matt, take care. Lauren, take care. Mike, happy birthday, man. Take care.
You too. Right. Thank you. Follow Mazza Media on YouTube and especially Twitter as well. He's all over there. Thank you so much for being here tonight, Mazza. I'm just looking to see if I'm missing any other questions here tonight. I guess the big thing is, do you have any final thoughts tonight? Anything that we haven't covered? Because there's going to be a lot of witnesses upcoming. I guess one of the questions I have before we kind of close it down, beyond your final thoughts, is like, what witnesses are you looking forward to this week? Nick Rocco posted in there tonight that expects that Jennifer McCabe is going to be coming up maybe pretty soon. She's in this newest affidavit as maybe not wanting to testify unless Aidan's in jail. What do you think? Do you think she's going to get questioned about that? What are your big witnesses upcoming, and what are your final thoughts? I'll go to Loren first.
Yeah, I wondered about that, honestly. The pattern or the order that Hank is pulling witnesses seems to make no sense. But I wondered, because of this affidavit dropping, if it switches up the order in which she's called and which called sooner rather than later, or they're at least going to try to call her sooner. I wonder if somehow that shifts, though, because they're going to need time to vet this, I would think, right? Because it would be fair game to question her on some of this if it's accurate. So I wonder, again, how Bev will react if she'll let them call her later so that they can vet it. I don't know, but yeah, you can't beat Jen McCabe. I'm definitely ready to see her, see hers, and probably Higgins. Those are probably the two that I'm most excited for.
For me, Jennifer McCabe is going to be the biggest one, right? It's got to be brought up what you can ask her, and if the Commonwealth is going to be sort of proactive, they're going to make sure that that's talked about before, because I have to imagine that whoever's cross-examining her is going to want to ask that question, because I think it is fair game. I think it should come in. It's completely, in line with whether or not she's believable, on top of everything else that she has to deal with. I'm just really excited to see all the big players from the last time, the Higgins, the Alberts, everybody, whoever they call. I don't know how the Commonwealth is kind of structuring it. I have an idea of what they're trying to do. So it's just, those are the big ones. McCabe's going to be the biggest one for me after this affidavit, just because, boy, that's some damage control you have to figure out. And there has to be another hearing in front of it, and it's going to delay the trial even more.
And then it'll be taken out on the attorneys. They'll be told that they need to speed up their, all of their cross and direct everything else, because it's Bev's timeline when she can't time manage, in my opinion. So
all the time in the sidebar.
yeah. Again, maybe come in 30 minutes earlier and work out some of these details like every other court does. Then you have to have so many sidebars, and then you don't have to ask the jury to go out for 15 minutes. I mean, come on. I can't with her.
Right?
Well, that was to Mazza's point, was these should have been decided well before this case actually started trial. The fact that it's taking this long, like it's anticipated, 3 months, I think is what they're saying. I've never seen that in a murder trial. This is a big trial, right? But it's not like it's that big of a trial in terms of the complexities of the forensics of it all, right? I've done trials that are similar to this, and trials with less witnesses, and we normally get through them in Indiana in like a week, 2 weeks max, right? It's not, my last murder trial lasted 4 days. So, how this is going to be, spread out so long, it's kind of shocking to me, because we should be working these things out well before a trial, so the jury's not wasting their time, because you look at all the security they have, and keeping this perimeter inside the courtroom, all the resources they're spending. So we talk about taxpayer dollars being spent. It's being wasted on all these half days, on all these other sidebars going on all these other unnecessary hearings. If you had just done them before the trial started, all this would be worked out. You would know what's going to be going on. We wouldn't be having all these conversations on different platforms and arguing about different things, but which is great, right, that we get to do this. But that would have at least made things run more efficient, and you would have known what's going on. And if this case does involve an interlocutory appeal where we press pause in the trial, it's wasting more money of just making sure that the jury, who I don't know how human nature doesn't take over, and they don't accidentally look at things online if they're waiting months on end for an appeal to come through. Of course they're going to look through and get exposed to something, and then you're probably going to have to start the trial all over again, and it was just wasted money.
That would be terrible. Bread of Oranges says, is Cash a cream, or does he have other colors? Nova, the blue cream, Turdy, Spinks says, hi from California.
Oh, Nova. So Nova is the name of my dog. I love Nova already. So he is a white. I was told he was a white. I don't know if that is different than cream, but that's what I was told. But oh my goodness, find me on social media so I can see your babies. Yes.
Got lots in common with Friend of Oranges. Here's a question for Matt. Matt, what are the chances of Morrissey actually taking the stand?
In Karen's trial, none.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that you would ever call an elected prosecutor to the stand as a witness. The whole office would have to recuse themselves, and Lally couldn't sit there. No one could sit there. I think if anything's going to happen to him, it would be in a federal investigation on that end, maybe a disciplinary complaint if that's filed. That's where there's a whole other slew of things that can happen. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be unrelated to the Karen or even Aidan's trial. It might actually come out in Aidan's trial in some way, but that's probably not likely at all. Him testifying would be in something completely separate, and likely if that's an avenue that he finds himself staring down, he'll lawyer up and not say anything.
We had a question here from Pee Wee that we kind of answered. I think you answered earlier, Matt. They want to know if Kearney limits the defense. Can they ask or take action? Yeah, they can do the interlocutory appeal, right?
They can try, right? And there's, again, in Indiana, we have two different forms. It's one that's as of right and one that's discretionary. So I don't know how Massachusetts does it, but for example, if we're talking about the experts on the defense side, what she's limiting, that would come more under like as of right, where they can just file it and the judges and have discretion. If it's talking about this affidavit, that might be something where it's more discretionary and you have to wait until after trial. So there's different avenues that they can do. So I guess, yes, in some circumstances you can, in other circumstances, unfortunately, you can't. And, you know, an after conviction appeal is the only thing. And obviously Karen doesn't want to see that, you know, actually take place.
It's a good comment tonight. Coach Jura says the affidavit is exactly why Bev didn't allow Betterow. I think there's a lot of reasons she didn't allow Betterow. And yeah. Too effective. She doesn't like people from out of state, even though he's from Massachusetts. Lily Rose writes, "Happy birthday, Mike. Buy yourself a coffee on me. Hope you've had a wonderful..." It's been the best birthday. Thank you so much, Lily. I really appreciate that. What's this one? Matt's thoughts on Hank being taint team on communications that could implicate him personally. Yeah, what do you think about that? Hank being his own taint team.
It could, right? You know, it's part of the process where I would think everything's going to be looked at. I don't know how deep it runs, right? The more and more this case unfolds, the more and more it just seems like a lot of people are involved in this in some way, shape, or form, whether it's tangentially or they're actually directly involved. So he could find himself, you know, under the crosshairs in a federal investigation, in a disciplinary complaint. There could be something. But I keep reiterating because it's just kind of where I see it going. A lot of it's going to be after the fact of this trial being done. And that's when you're going to start to see some of those things pop up where, you know, platforms like this, where we're kind of looking at things and not letting things just kind of go by the wayside. It's keep reporting on this, keep looking at it, keep, you know, exposing anything that you think is corruption, because if it's not, the truth will come to light. If it is, it's coming to light. And now we're starting to see things come to light. So I guess it's a long-winded way of saying it's just not going to be in this trial, more than likely.
Is it normal as DA to not want defense to rebut your experts?
If you know your case sucks, right? And that's just kind of like the easiest way to put it, right? Of course, yeah, you don't want that in there, but that's part of your job, right? A prosecutor's job, if you're going for it at trial, it's because you truly believe, you're supposed to, right? From this philosophical standpoint, you truly believe that this is what happened, this is the truth, and this is what I'm going to put forward because this person's guilty. So if you don't really believe it, and there are some that are just not good and shouldn't be in that position, just like there's some defense attorneys that aren't good and shouldn't be representing clients, and some people that are judges that aren't good and shouldn't be sitting on the bench. But if you're a prosecutor and you believe that you have this case, move forward on it. And my theory always is, I don't care what the defense wants to bring up in terms of an expert or trying to rebut what I'm saying, let it happen. Let it happen. And then my job is to say, this is ridiculous. It's not going to happen. There are rules that limit certain things you can and can't say, but on the whole, let it all come in and just fight it out, because that's my burden. That's my job. If I can't prove my case, then I'm not doing my job. And that's why we have the system.
This one, Blue Eyes Values quoting you. It's so true. This is what explains so much of what Hank does. If you know the case sucks, if you know your case sucks, then you do the dumb stuff. Kimba has a question. Why isn't Kerry getting called out for perjury by the judge?
So perjury, you'd have to have a charge filed. So it's probably good the judge didn't say anything, because that would be inappropriate and that would undoubtedly be a mistrial. A judge is supposed to just be a referee, sit there and not say anything unless an objection is raised, and then limit it to that. So the district attorney's office is the one that has to look into whether perjury is going to be filed or not. And obviously there's people that are going to think it's never going to be filed, because if they have to bring it, why would they do it against someone that most people are looking at it as though she's lying and they're protecting her? So that's going to be the biggest reason why. judge shouldn't even comment on it at all. That's the jury's decision. Do I believe a witness in part or in whole?
Absolutely. I want to thank you both for being here tonight. Definitely, I want you to promote yourself on the way out. You've got social media. Any other shows upcoming? Definitely plug those. And if you have any final thoughts, let's go to Loren first tonight.
I had one final question for Matt, if you don't mind.
Oh,
I
definitely.
wondered what he thought about the FBI investigation being over, if he had thoughts on that. And then if this affidavit proves to be accurate, I don't have any reason to doubt that. But if it does, his thoughts on that investigation being reopened, possibly.
So I think it should be considered in terms of reopening, or at least evaluating whether that should happen, right? So if something like this is coming up, it looks really, really bad, and it implicates a lot of federal statutes in some way, shape, or form. And there's a million different ways we could look at that in terms of what's there. But the investigation is going to be the one way we'll actually know if any of this is true and to what extent it is. Again, like I said earlier, when there's smoke, there's fire, because there's probably something there. And I think it's safe to assume something is going to show up. I don't know how deep it is or how bad it really is, but it's probably going to be enough that, it should be evaluated to be reopened. And honestly, I would think it's the best way to sort of calm the nerves of everyone in terms of how things have looked in this trial is to reopen it, do a full investigation of everything, and release a report on it and say, this is what's going on. And if you're charging, charge. And if not, great. Because if it's not federal crime, okay. Is it a disciplinary complaint or an ethical violation by the professionals, judges, attorneys, whatever it may be, then go down that road too. Hold the people responsible that need to be held responsible. The first step is the federal investigation being reopened.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
We got a comment here. This one. They want to know Loren's X address, please.
Yeah, so my ex is Loren Katie. And then on that's for Twitter, and then for TikTok, I'm on TikTok as well. Common Sense Investigator, and then I'm on YouTube. It's a baby channel, so there's not much content on that, but it is Common Sense Investigator as well. So yeah, follow me. I'm definitely outspoken on Twitter, and love to do the live tweeting from watching the trial if I'm available. So.
Excellent. And Loren's Loren, just like the chatter spells it out, and just like on your, underneath your name on the stream here.
Yes, Loren Katie.
Loren Katie, perfect. And Matt, how can people follow you? And do you have any final thoughts tonight? Anything to look for in the trial? Anything else that we didn't bring up tonight?
Yeah. So the only thing I have is Twitter. I still call it Twitter. You can call it X, whatever you want to. But it's just my name, Matt Kubacki, all one word. I have other social media, but that's just too personal, and I don't want to kind of open that door on anything, especially with some of the people that are against my position on things. So Twitter's the only thing that I'm going to be on. I'm kind of posting a little bit about the trial as I'm able to do it. Obviously, I have a full-time job, so that takes up most of it, and I have to serve the county first, and so on my spare time is when I kind of review this case and kind of give my opinion on it. But that's where I'm on. I'll be on the Glare tomorrow night, I think around 6 p.m. So I'll be on that, talking about, I'm sure, the same stuff that we've been talking about today and recapping tomorrow's trial on that. So looking forward to it. This is kind of new to me. I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying meeting all different people like Mike, Loren, and everyone else I've got to meet. Obviously, Aidan was really cool to talk to. People don't like his style on the other side, and I get it. I understand. They're entitled to their opinion. I kind of like the way he handles things. He's kind of a no-nonsense, no BS type person, and that's kind of what it is. But I think what everyone's doing is sort of raising awareness to something that feels really wrong and feels really bad.
Yeah.
And I think the truth is going to come out at some point in time. And, you really do want to see John O'Keefe get that justice that he deserves. But it shouldn't be at the expense of Karen Reed. That's just my opinion.
So well said, and I'm so happy you're here with us. Welcome.
Yeah,
we love having you.
Yeah. I want to thank Loren Katie for being here tonight, too, for doing everything that you're doing, private investigator license, and prosecutor, Matt. Kubacki. You heard today. Matt does murder cases. I mean, you're putting people in, prosecuting a major guy. I want to thank you both for being here tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Have a great
Bye,
night.
everyone.
Bye now. We're the Young Jerks, and I want to also thank, obviously, Mazza Media for being here tonight. Great to have him back on my birthday. It's like perfect timing. Just amazing how things just kind of worked out. Today on my birthday, the stuff with KP too. I mean, this has been an ongoing thing for this show since she basically threatened me back in December 2023, January 2024, and now to have this come full circle on my birthday. And really that all started too for me. My involvement in that kind of stuff was when she was harassing me was on Aidan's birthday. So she put him through hell. So it is kind of karma. There's some karma here. It's funny how life works. I want to thank you all because if you weren't watching, we probably wouldn't have been talking about it. We wouldn't have gotten the lead in that affidavit, Think about that. That's the power of doing these shows. There's so many people watching. You never know who's watching. You never know where the info is going to come from. I'm just going to check. I just want to make sure. I know there were a lot of Venmos that came in this weekend. I just want to make sure I thank everybody. And on the super chats, I may be here a while. Athena C sent $25 on the Cash App. She says, "Love your channel. Thank you so much, Athena." Amy C on the Cash App also said $25, and she said, "Happy birthday, Mike, and thanks for all you do." Thank you, Amy C. Wow, that's awesome. Charlie's probably gonna go nuts. Mama's walking in now. I can hear her. But let me try to get through some of these Venmos too. Oh my God, they're coming through right now too. I want to thank Paula K. She says, "Happy birthday, TV Daily News Canton Cover Up Series 102. Aidan breaks down the relationship between Judge Bev and Colin's grandfather, as well as other relationships. It will all make sense after reading." Wow, is this new? I got to go check this out. Thank you, Paula K. I also want to thank Karen B. She sent $5. She said, "Should the defense be clearer that Karen is not being charged with a simple DUI, but a DUI manslaughter in leaving the scene, as Karen admits to drinking? The last jury clearly didn't understand." That's a good point, Karen. Kathleen sent $10 and says, "Happy birthday, Kathleen C." Thank you so much, Kathleen. I have had a very happy birthday. Trisha sent $25 and she said, "Happy birthday, Mike." Trisha CT. Thank you so much, Trisha. Diane sent $24. Diane G. She says, "Happy birthday, Jeter amount, LOL." I know what that is. Thank you so much. I'm assuming yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Sandy L. She sent $10 and said, "Happy birthday, Mike. So glad Mazza is back. I'm old and I was very worried about him." No, he's doing fine, Sandra L. It's good to see him back. You can tell he's fine. Cindy L. Thank you so much. Michelle P. sent $25. She says, "Happy birthday and thanks for all that you do." Thank you so much, Michelle P. And Sheila G sent $20 and said, "Happy birthday and thanks for your coverage. Hashtag free Karen Reed." Thank you so much. This is amazing. This is like the best birthday. This is Colleen K. She sent money yesterday. She says, "Happy birthday, Mike. Thanks for all the great coverage. Hope you have a great birthday." I'm having the greatest birthday. I'm doing exactly what you wanted. Thank you so much, Colleen K. James Todd. I just lost it. Hold on. Yeah, James T sent $5. Thank you so much, James T. And Leslie S. said $5. She says, free Karen Reed. Love your channel. Stay real and the truth will prevail. I believe that. I do believe that. I agree with you. Stephen S. sent 25. He said, thanks for all your great content and happy birthday. Thank you so much, Stephen. It's been a great birthday. Molly P. sent 25. She says, happy birthday, Mike. Oh, this is amazing. Anita B. sent $50. She said, happy birthday, Mike. Love from one of the jerks. Thank you so much. Wow. Very generous. Thank you so much, Barbara D. Laura, I think she's a Bridgewater State. I think both of us are Bridgewater State people, alumni. She says, happy birthday, coffee for tomorrow. Thank you so much, Laura. I had a great coffee. On you. Thank you so much, Laura. I just love this. I'm trying to get them all, and they just keep coming in. I hope I'm able to say Meredith D sent $10 the other night, too. I think I got them all from the other day. All right, hopefully. And we got new ones. Jen O sent $20, and she said, happy birthday, Mike. Thank you so much, Jen O. Is that our moderator? Oh, I love Jen O. Thank you so much, Jen. And did I get Karen? I'm not sure if I got these ones. Karen B. Yeah, I think I did get that one. I think we might be almost done. Now I'm probably gonna have to go through the Cash Apps too. Let's make sure no more came through. Yeah, more came through. I knew this was gonna happen. You guys do this to me. That one. The Rogue Townie. He sent $20. The Rogue Townie sent $20 and said, happy birthday, Mike. Thank you so much to the Rogue Townie. And let me get my glasses back on so I can read the super chat and the regular chat. Yeah, I got to read the super chats. Exactly. There's been more. OnlyFan sent $6.98. Says, happiest of birthdays, Mike. To many more great streams. Thank you so much, OnlyFan. Shamwal says, FBI never close. Yeah, probably not. Yeah, we don't know if they close the investigation. And the fact is that they'll never close an investigation in a lot of respects, in terms of that they'll reopen it if they find out something. You know what I mean? So I want to thank Pam. Thank you so much, Pam. And I want to thank Kimba. And I want to thank Lily Rose. Thank you so much, Lily Rose, tonight. And Couch Jura. You know what? I'm going to step aside for 1 second. I'll be right back because I got Charlie. He wants to get out. His mom is home. Let me let Charlie out, and I'll be right back. And yes, I want to thank Couch Juror. And Brittany tonight. Thank you so much, Brittany. She says, we're birthday buddies. I wish that both of our birthdays, Karen goes free and Officer John O'Keefe can get justice, right? I know. But it was a good birthday because I feel like we got a little closer in the last few days. Sherry D. Thank you so much, Sherry D. And English Kate, she posted earlier, and she says, look at this big audience tonight. The second case has so many more people tuned in, and it only getting bigger. The McAlbert mob won't be sleeping easy, right? It's funny how I see some of them saying like it's fallen off. I don't see it's fallen off. I feel like it's just as big as last time, if not bigger. It feels bigger, actually, this time. There's more shows covering it. You know, it's funny, too, because I feel like we're getting bigger numbers now. But we got big numbers last time, too, last trial. But think about it. Even if we're getting the same numbers as we were last time, how many more shows are there? You know, so there's a lot more. Every night there's like, usually when I'm on live now, there's like 3 or 4 other shows on covering the same thing, you know? That wasn't like that before. So, yeah, it's definitely, I think it's gotten bigger. There's so many bigger shows covering it now too. Pee Wee Herman, thank you so much. Pee Wee Herman. I love Pee Wee. It's funny. Yeah, we did ask this question earlier. Thank you. And Coach Juror, thank you again. Thank you, Kelly. Happy birthday, Mike, says Kelly. I think I posted that earlier. I'm just going through making sure I got them all posted and acknowledge them. I want to thank more of a Lessie. And I want to thank Nicole tonight. We did ask this question earlier. Thank you, Nicole. And I think I did post this one earlier from Alba. Thank you, Alba. And thank you from Australia, Kathy from Australia. She says, hi from Australia. Thank you. I love Down Under. I used to date an Australian lady. Very nice lady named Caitlin. Marsha says, happy birthday, Mike. And there's Brenda S. I want to thank Captain Skid Marks tonight. That's a funny name. MG. I think I posted them all. The Petty Paralegal. Am I missing any in the chat? Is anyone looking for like, did I not? Because there are a lot of super chats here. DW says, happy birthday, Mike. FU to Krusty Fatties. Holly Box, thank you so much. Thank you, Fire on Acid. We did ask this question earlier. Oh, thank you, Laura. Thank you so much, Laura. Call me Uncle Mike. I love when they call me Uncle Mike. I love when the kids call me Uncle Mike. You know who I think came up with that first? I'm not sure if she was the first one. It's the first time I heard it. Was Oblivious Benson. She called me Uncle Mike. She's like, you cool Uncle Mike. I think she actually came up with that one. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but that's the first time I heard it is when she used it. I thought it was cute. Thank you so much, Nick Rocco, tonight. This is happy birthday, Mike OG. Much love, bro. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you, Cynthia Lynch. And Mary Malaki. I love that last name. Malaki. Remember when Biden did that? It's a bunch of Malaki. Oh, Trish, thank you. Yes, it was a good crew tonight. Thank you, Tara and Helena. And Harvard Yard. Thank you, Harvard Yard. And Christine. Yeah, happy mother effing birthday. Thank you, Valerie. Very nice of you. All right, I'm going back to the chat, the regular chat. Did I miss anyone's super chat tonight? Is anyone mad at me right now? They're grifted on you. My ass stays here. I love this channel. Thank you so much, Buckwheat. ARCCA tomorrow, I know, right? We are going to totally do it up tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. I'll be streaming live. The only issues I have tomorrow this week is I'm busier, actually, for dogs. So there may be moments that I'm not streaming everything like I usually do during the day. We'll see. Last week was a great week for it. This week might be tougher. I'm going to try to stream tomorrow. We'll see what happens. But I'm not sure what's going on tomorrow night. I think I got Bettero in tomorrow night. We'll see. It's going to be a big week. There's going to be a lot going on. I expect more shows. Make sure you're checking our YouTube every night because you know how I go. I like to do the 6:30 shows. Sometimes they're last minute. And Elizabeth just sent Elizabeth D sent $20 and she says, happy birthday, Uncle Mike. Wishing you the best trip around the sun ever. Beth. Thank you so much, Beth. I really appreciate that on Venmo. I am having the best birthday. It really is. And you know what? I love the crew that always sticks around on every show. Oh, I want to thank our moderators. Thank you so much, Sarah and Shock and Hara. Thank you, Jen O. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, MJ and Scott McGinnis. I love our mod team. We have the best mod team around. It's in contention. There is a disclaimer on that. Some people claim that JFK has the best mod team. I'm going to say it's a tie because I know JFK and I have a feeling he has a good mod team like we do. So I'm just going to say it's a tie. Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to go smoke up. I'm very thankful. And like I said earlier, God bless Gene. I think the last thing we should do tonight before we go. Hopefully I haven't missed any super chats. No one's mad at me, right? Good. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you so much. I think the last thing I want everyone to do in the chat is just give some praise to Gene. Gene from Dorchester. She came through. It was very courageous of her to do what she did. So let's on social media too. She's watching. Thank Jean for everything she's done. And she came home today and she had a threat on her door about this. So I think I did post this last super chat from Melissa. Thank you, Melissa. Yeah, thank you, Jean. Jean rocks. And yeah, definitely people can donate to the Karen Reed fund anytime. FreeKarenReed.net. And we have raised a lot of money on this show for Karen Reed and Turtle Boy, both of those defense fund. I'd suggest people make donations. I would love that too. Yeah, I want to thank everybody. And I think I got that super chat up. Yeah, everyone's in here loving Gene. That's why I don't want to go. I'm just looking at all the comments, and I hope Gene's watching them right now. You get a lot of people backing you up, Gene. And Courtney, too. Courtney Healy for Tim Bradle's office. I know that the attorneys Bradle and Betterow get a lot of love, but Courtney's done a lot. I know because I've talked to her a bunch of times about stuff, and I know the attorneys for Karen Reed's defense team get a lot of love, but there's also Courtney Healy. I think has done a great job as well. There's a lot of heroes in this, a lot of unsung heroes, and all the people like the Canton Nine. You know, there's so many folks who have put things on the line for this. All right, I'm gonna head out. Have a great night, everyone. Peace. We'll see you soon. Tomorrow morning, we'll be watching the Karen Reed trial. And if you haven't, please like and subscribe to our email list blog. It's a website. It's www. You got to put the www in there. MidnightMassNews.com. I'm going to be posting a lot more stories over there. Please make sure you like and subscribe there as well. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Free Karen Reed. Let's hope it works well for ARCCA tomorrow. Keep your fingers crossed. Keep a prayer. If you pray, let's pray for Karen. Let's pray for Turtle Boy. Let's pray for ARCCA tomorrow. Let's pray for Gene. Let's pray for the defense teams and all the creators and YouTubers that are doing the right thing. And all the Twitter warriors, all the Twitter accounts. There's so many people who are contributing on this. Let's go. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you to our guests. Thank you to our moderators. Thank you to our audience. Thank you to all the contributors. Best birthday ever. Thank you. Have a great night.